K&A Custom Crafts on Facebook.
Hey, there he is. Hey, what's going on? What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Coast to Coast Entertainment Network. I am Ace, and tonight I'm joined by my co-host for the evening, and there he is, Mr. Big B. He jumps in. How you doing tonight, my man?
Doing good. Was just kind of organizing some of my son's wrestling cards while he's gone. So,
I like it.
Talk some sports.
All right, and then of course, welcome in Mr. James Gonzalez. James, how are you doing tonight?
Good. Work is a 4-letter word.
Work. Yes, it is a 4-letter word. All right, Chris, how are you doing tonight?
Doing good. Another four-letter word is warm, because it's warm here.
It kind of reminds me of that episode of Family Feud, to where they go, "Hey, can you give me an animal that's 3 letters?" And the guy's like, "Alligator." That's all.
That is a great clip on Family Feud.
Right? Alligator.
Yeah.
Alligator. I'm like, that's awesome. All right. So welcome to SportsMinute. I know it's been a while, but we are back now, and I am ready to talk some sports tonight. So the first thing that I wanted to do is kind of check in on how we feel that our teams are doing MLB wise. Now, Big B, I knew you were going to do that, but you guys have been sitting in first place, kind of going. And I know you're like, well, and I know you guys are playing in a bad division. I get it. But
the thing is, the Vikings were sitting in first place too, and look what happened to them. I mean,
no, I get it. But let me ask you, if you guys end up winning the Central, do you feel like you have any chance in the playoffs?
Nope, unless we pull some magic out of our hat and can get a stud bat and a stud starter to go in what we have now, but I don't see that happening. So
all right, so let me start out with this. What do you feel like right now is going right for the Twins?
They're playing in a bad division. I mean, the starters aren't too bad, and the sticks are coming around. I mean, they put it together. They're unstoppable. But right now, they just need that one guy in the starting five that it's like, okay, every 5 days we can count on him to go 7-8 innings, give up a run or two, and our bats can handle it. Right now, we don't have that. We had it at the beginning of the year, and I think we kind of fallen off of that. So, maybe it'll turn around. I know it's a marathon, not a sprint, but I just hope they kind of go out and make some noise this trade deadline coming up.
Do you feel like your Twins will win the Central?
That's tough. If they go out and make moves, yes. If they stay pat, no.
All right. Who do you feel is your biggest competition in the Central right now?
I think the Guardians right now are a game or two back.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
We got to do if the Guardians make a move, we got to make a move, a better move. So
would it surprise you though if your Twins were, and I hate to put it like this because you guys are sitting in first place, but would you be surprised if your Twins were sellers at the deadline?
Yes, I would definitely be surprised. Unless we started getting the injury bug to some key players and they just don't think they're going to do it. But if we stay pat right now in sellers, yeah, I'd be surprised.
All right. So James, I'm going to go ahead and go to you on this one next. Man, the Angels, I will tell you, the Angels are a team this year that kind of surprised me. I wasn't expecting them to be over 500 at this point, but they are. Rendon still hasn't been doing much, but Otani's been raking like normal. Trout's been having not a great year, but a decent year. The pitching's been better than expected. So James, I'll go with you. What do you feel like has been going right for the Angels so far?
Oh man. As of late, nothing has. I'll just be honest with you. When I take a look at the bullpen, that's been a struggle. Our closer was struggling at one point, and then he's been getting rest, and then he's been better. But there's injuries to the infield. There's injuries to the bullpen. The starters are doing well. So I guess maybe the starters, like Otani tonight, just think about this. He only gave up one home run to Freeman, and that was basically it. But there's been no run support, and they're about to lose and get shut out for the second time in a row by the Dodgers tonight. Last night was 2-0.
Yeah.
Tonight is also going to be 2-0 if the Dodgers close it out on the Angels and sweep this 2-game freeway series. So I guess the starting pitching has been good, but the bullpen hasn't helped. The run support isn't there. You can credit that to the injuries. You can credit that to the good pitching of the LA. And then the defense, very suspect. So maybe it's just the starting pitching that's been well for the Angels lately.
All right. Do you foresee yourself, because honestly, I don't see you winning the division, but do you foresee the Angels sneaking in a wild card spot?
Hell no. When I look at what's in front of the Angels and just what's behind, which is 3 AL East teams that are way better than them: Baltimore, Toronto, and the New York Yankees, right? And then you have the 2 teams above the Angels in the AL West, Houston and first place Texas. And there's only 3 wild card spots to go around. So the odd team out will be the Angels. They'll collapse. I feel like they had a spark with Zach Nettle, the rookie, coming up, but he got hurt. He'll be out, from 2 to 6 weeks. And that's the time that he was really doing well before he got hurt. And now it's time for the collapse to happen, honestly.
Okay, so with that being said, with you guys sitting in third right now, but still over 500, so it's still a little bit of a surprise. That's what I was trying to say. There has been a lot of debate whether Otani will actually be moved. However, I don't think he does. I think he does remain an Angel. But what is your thoughts? Do you think the Angels actually end up pulling the trigger and actually trading him?
They're not going to. They're going to think that no matter what, he's going to stay loyal to them when they've given him literally nothing team-wise. And then he's just going to leave to the Dodgers. And it's going to be a nightmare for the Angel fans all over. The reason I say that, the Dodgers cleared a lot of cap space in the offseason. They got rid of the dead weight, and they brought up their young guys. And that's going to clear space for Otani. And there was a poll, actually, that 22 teams players did. And 57% said Otani would go to the Dodgers in the offseason. So, yeah, I don't see the Angels trading him. They're going to give the fans the hope that, hey, we're going to do whatever to keep him. But in the end, if Otani wants to win, and you saw that in the WBC, when Japan won the WBC, that, hey, he wants to win. He's got that little taste right there, and he's going to leave in the offseason. There's no doubt, to the Dodgers.
All right, so before I go on to Chris asking about his Rangers, Big B, do you agree with James that Otani is going to stick with the Angels, or are the Angels actually going to trade Otani?
Oh, well, they're what, middle of the pack right now? I think.
Yeah, they're
so.
like one game out of the wild card, the third wild card.
Right now, I would say stick with them, but if they start falling again, then you may have to move them. But if they're gonna get hot, I keep both of them right now, him and Trout.
Okay. All right. Crispy, how about you? Do you think that the Angels trade Ohtani, or does Ohtani stay?
I think Otani stays, or as J Mac says, he's gonna go to the Braves, but I doubt that.
Oh, man, if the Braves get him,
I think he'll stay with the Angels.
All right.
If the money's right.
So I kind of agree with you. I think that Ohtani does stay only because they're a game out of the wild card. Now, had they really, truly fallen off and they had been back, and out of the wild card by like 8 games at this point or whatever, and under 500, then I might say, okay, they might move on from Ohtani. But because they still have an outside chance, but they still have a chance, that's why I feel like they're not going to move on. All right.
I can see that, yeah.
So, Crispy, now I'm going to move on to you for the Rangers. Last year, we thought that the Rangers were going to be good, and the Rangers have actually lived up to the hype this year that the Rangers were going to be good. The only thing that I will say that it did not shock me at all, one little bit, when Jacob deGrom signed with the Rangers, we said, uh-oh, is this going to be a good move for the Rangers? Because we know that Jacob deGrom is always hurt. Well, it turns out, guess what? He needs Tommy John surgery, and he's out again. So, Chris, how does this move by signing Jacob deGrom make you feel?
Hey, the Rangers are still winning without him. I mean, it'd be great to win when he's on the field, but he's not. They're still winning. They won the series against the White Sox earlier this evening, and I think we can continue. Sad thing is, he won't be able to play probably even even next year. I don't think he'll play, but
Probably not.
It's kind of a waste, but we all expect it when the team signed him.
All right, so what's your overall opinion right now about your Texas Rangers?
Hopefully we can continue the winning. Bullpen seems to be kind of in order now. It was kind of an up and down thing for at least a month or so, but I think we got that worked out, and hopefully the winning continues even after the All-Star break.
So Jason's saying that the Rangers will crumble down the stretch, and
Probably.
And the one thing that I do agree that he also said is that because Crispy said that Ohtani's staying, it means he's not staying, it means he's leaving. Because it is that Crispy jinx, and we all know it. So that means he does end up leaving. All right. So now I'm going to touch a little bit on my Braves here. 21 games above 500. At this point in time, I will tell you, I knew Atlanta was going to be a good team, but here's why. Towards the middle part of our games, like 40 games in, the reason why I was concerned was because no Kyle Wright, no Max Fried. And I was sitting there going, how is our starting rotation going to be able to handle this without your top 2 pitchers? It was very concerning to me. But when you look at this lineup, and the one guy that really stepped up so well in this lineup that I wasn't sure because coming on to spring training, when Atlanta goes, oh yeah, we're going to send Vaughn Grissom back to AAA and we'll keep Arcia. I was like, really? I was like, I thought you were moving on from Swanson because you wanted Grissom in there. And they send him to AAA, but then all Arcia has done has been hitting the ball. He's batting a 341. Atlanta's been so good up and down this whole lineup. Acquiring Sean Murphy has been huge. The one thing that I really feel like Atlanta should do at the deadline is, number 1, get one more starting pitcher, and number 2, do something to kind of help that bullpen out. I feel like, yeah, the bullpen's kind of been hyped up a little bit, but I don't always trust our bullpen. To be perfectly honest, I don't. I feel like Atlanta's bullpen has kind of been overhyped just a little bit. There's some guys in the bullpen that I don't trust. To be perfectly honest, there is. So we have a few more comments here. Jason said, I called it before the season. Arcia was an all-star in Milwaukee. And you did say that. It's just last year, because Swanson was there and then Grissom was there, you were not seeing a whole lot of Arcia. So I didn't believe it. But now that he's there and Atlanta signed him to another cheap deal for 3 years, hey, I like Arcia. So Atlanta is one of those teams that they're living up to the hype and doing what they're supposed to be doing. So the Marlins are kind of one of those teams, though, that I look at right now that I'm like, dang, man, all those high draft picks are finally paying off. It's taken them this long, but it's finally paying off. I do think Atlanta can hold on to the East, but like I said, they do need to get one more pitcher and some bullpen help. And J-Mac says 5th best ERA in baseball as a staff, and MLB is not hyped up. The reason why I'm saying that is because I feel like every game on with the bullpen, I feel like there's certain times when a guy comes in that I'm like, I can't trust this guy. Minter has an extremely high ERA. He started out really bad. He's starting to come down a little bit. He's been one that was struggling. Garcia hasn't been great. He's been supposed to be our closer, but he hasn't been great either. But anyway, I'm glad that Atlanta's 21 games over 500, and let's keep it going. Just make some deals at the deadline, and I'll be good. All right. Moving on to our next topic. Well, before. Oh, great. Jason saying, Brandon, tell me we need Will Smith back. No, definitely not Will Smith. The only thing I gave Will Smith credit for was come playoff time, he was lights out in the playoffs. Huh?
He was the MVP of the playoffs.
He was perfect in the playoffs. I can't deny that. But in the regular season, man, he sucked. All right. So, moving on to our next topic, we're going to move on to a topic about the NFL. And Crispy, I'll start out with you on this one. And the question is, where does DeAndre Hopkins end up going?
Ooh. Yeah, that's still a question. Surprised he's lasted this long on the market, though, really. I mean,
well, he said he's taking his time. His time.
Ooh. Kansas City? I doubt it.
No, I don't think so. All right, so you're saying KC, Big B, DeAndre Hopkins. Where does DeAndre Hopkins go?
I hope not Minnesota. We're tied to every receiver possible, but
I hope not Minnesota.
well, yeah, they seem like every report I've read, got a Minnesota getting a receiver or Minnesota trading for Trey Lance are like the two biggest things lately. Hopkins, man, I don't know. I mean, if he wants to go get a ring, then you're looking at Kansas City, San Fran, Philly. If he thinks he could be a big star and be a number one receiver, then you go elsewhere. But if he thinks this is it and he's going to get a ring, Philly, San Fran, KC, Buffalo, maybe Dallas. But I don't know. Nobody's really talking right now on some of these big guys. So it'll be interesting when training camp opens to see where things end up. But yeah, I go Buffalo, I guess.
So J-Mac says that we know DeAndre Hopkins will not go wherever Crispy says he will go.
I've heard rumors of reunion with Bill O'Brien in I think New England.
Well,
'Cause
he
they're
did.
both-
He did have a visit there.
yeah, and they're both in Houston when he played in
Yeah,
O'Brien. So
maybe I could foresee that. All right,
I
James,
don't know if
how
he go
about
to
you?
New England, though. I mean, unless he thinks that he can really turn it around, turn that team around, go to Houston. But I think he's chasing a ring, so you got to go to contender.
No, I do agree at this point in time because D Hop's been around for a little while now, and so he does want to get that ring. Everybody thought that that the Cardinals team was going to be really, really good with all the weapons that they had. The Cardinals even went out and got Zach Ertz and thought, wow, you know what, this is going to be a loaded team. The Cardinals did absolutely nothing, whether it be Kyler Murray, whether it be Cliff Kingsbury, who knows? But it's going to be Lions would be a smart choice, maybe, but I don't know if he will on that. But James, where does DeAndre Hopkins go?
I hope he doesn't go to Tennessee. That was another team he visited. That would be so stupid. They have 3 quarterbacks. None of them are any good. Tannehill, Levy's, who they drafted, and Malik Willis. Why the hell would you go visit the Titans when you know they're probably going to part ways with Henry or just let him walk? Okay. This is going to sound bad, but it's the business of the game. I think he might wait for a contender to have a wide receiver issue or injury and then go to that team that needs a receiver. So the Jets could be one of those. When you think about it, they have Lazard. Who else is there? Ace, one of the old Packers. Cobb.
They have Cobb. They have Lazard. They also have Garrett Wilson.
Right.
Yeah.
So let's say one of those older Packer receivers get hurt. Boom, you could just put in Hopkins there. Now, Juju Smith-Schuster, he was able to sign a free agent deal with the Patriots, right? He took that leap and went to Kansas City, won a ring, and then got a free agent deal. As horrible as it sounds for me as a Raider fan, I think Hopkins should do that. Go to Kansas City, get you a ring, and then get a free agent deal next offseason. Go the Juju route.
So my plan wasn't really. I'm just playing.
Yeah,
Well,
so I agree with Crispy Bacon. I think he really should go there. It's a pretty easy system to be in. You really don't have to do much. You just catch the ball. Pat Mahomes
because Chris said it.
Well, yeah. So I really thought, though, I really thought the Chiefs would be one of the places, but maybe Hopkins has to reach out to them, which you don't usually see. So for me, it'd be either the Jets, the Patriots, or what I really think he should do. And the Steelers, I don't think you trust Kenny Pickett yet. So, and you're not going to the Browns. They already have Cooper and other problems. So I think he really should go to Kansas City.
He's coming to Green Bay to help out Jordan Love. I know, Big B, you saw that look. You're like, what? Like, what the heck? I know. I saw that look. No, the odds of that happening are very, very slim. We do need a veteran receiver, though. We don't have anybody at receiver that's played over a season. So we do need a veteran out there, and I know DeAndre Hopkins or even a guy like Jarvis Landry would help. But anyways, DeAndre Hopkins, I've been kind of going back and forth on where I truly believe that D-Hop is going to go. I really feel like a great fit for D-Hop, whether or not people agree with this or not, will be Cleveland. I really think that Cleveland would be a great fit for D-Hop. Cleveland is one of those up-and-coming teams that they actually have, well, I'm going to say a decent quarterback. He wasn't spectacular last year, but I think that's because he was so rusty. But I think if it was more playing time, I think he'll kind of go back to how he was. But Cleveland is one of those teams I could potentially see him going there. I'm going to throw another team out there. It's kind of that dark horse team that's kind of flying under the radar with signing players right now, and I'm going to go with the Baltimore Ravens because they could be another team that could be looking for receiver help. Because I know they got Beckham. I know they did, but I still think to complement Beckham, they're going to want to go out and get one more guy, and I believe that D-Hop could be that guy. Or, like Big B said, maybe he's linked to Minnesota, and he ends up going to Minnesota. He ends up going there. But
they just drafted a receiver. That's why I'm like, I don't know why that would happen.
I don't know. I don't think it will. But like Big B says, Minnesota's linked to everybody.
Oh yeah, yeah. And the thing is, when the draft came, I don't mind the receiver pick. I would have went defense, but
So Big B, let me ask you this: because DeAndre Hopkins was released, has the talk in Minnesota? Has people in Minnesota been talking about D-Hop coming to there?
Honestly, no. It hasn't been. We local radio has it. They're more talking about possibly re-signing Cook back, but I don't see that happening either.
So Crispy said that he feels like Cook ends up going to Miami.
Yeah.
Crispy feels like he goes there. So Big B, do you feel like Dalvin Cook goes to Miami?
Yeah, I'd say he goes to Miami. He'll go to Miami or Buffalo. Buffalo's been trying to get a stud back, but I think Buffalo will be better fit, but Miami's his home, so I can see him going there. And that was one of the first places linked to him was Miami. So, and the Vikings were in trade talks with them, if you believe the report. So, we'll see where Cook goes, but I believe it's going to be Miami.
Buffalo needs him. If there's one team that needs him, they need Cook.
Yep.
Buffalo needs any help they can, not just Cook.
At running back, Buffalo really needs a top-tier running back. They do.
Yeah.
They don't really have a solid running game. They need a running back, and I think Cook could definitely be that guy. And even Jason is saying that Dalvin Cook will end up in Buffalo. So
I like the move. I think that would be definitely
for Buffalo. It'd be brilliant. It would be a great move.
It wasn't a dumb move for the Vikings to let him go. They wanted him to restructure his contract. He said no. Madison's not that bad of a back. He's not a Cook, but yeah.
So were you okay with? So you were okay with the Vikings letting him go?
I would have preferred to trade, but he probably would have held out because they wanted to restructure. He didn't want to, so I think they just didn't want to play chicken with him and have to crack first. So I think that was the second best option. First best option would have been to trade him, of course, but of course everybody knows that you're trying to move him, or the reports are you're removing him because he doesn't want to restructure. So offers weren't coming in. So that's one thing with the internet is everybody knows things, so you're not going to get fair value for them.
So James, where do you think Dalvin Cook goes?
New York Jets. I think he's going to help Breece Hall. I don't know why that's funny, but
sorry. I'm just laughing, James, because you talked about DeAndre Hopkins, and you're like the Jets, and we said Dalvin Cook, and you're like the Jets. So I feel like you're like, hey, let's send everybody there.
Well, the reason is though with Hopkins is because of injury. The Jets need a backup to Breece Hall because of his injury last year. Remember, he got hurt in, I think it was week 8 or 7 in Denver, and he was out for the whole season. So
Yeah, it was the ACL, right?
Yeah, it was something major.
Yeah.
So if I'm the Jets, I'm kind of worried about that. And knowing that Cook wants to prove himself. But you're right, Buffalo really needs Cook to join his brother, James, in Buffalo. But I'm getting a feeling the Jets are going to lose out on Hopkins, but they're going to get Dalvin Cook. Because I know everybody is expecting Rodgers to pass. But just think, if you had a great running game, that would do wonders for the offense. If the passing game isn't working, you have Cook, you have Breece Hall. That could do wonders for the Jets in that tough division. So I'm going to go Jets.
That is interesting there. How about, and I'm just throwing this out there because I know you are a Raiders fan, and coming up, you guys may need a running back. Does the Raiders take a shot at Dalvin Cook?
Well, no, that'd be a smart thing to do.
That would, okay.
That doesn't happen there in the Raiders organization. They go after expatriates that nobody wants. What? There's got to be an ex-running back of the Patriots out there that the Raiders will go get. So, no, there's no way the Raiders are going to make that smart decision. There's no way.
Okay, well, I figured I would just ask since we were talking about places to go. So you're saying absolutely not. You don't feel it. Okay. Big B, he disappeared off there for a second. Oh, he's back now.
Uh-oh.
There he is. He's back. All right. There he is. Good job, Big B. All right. Yep. So moving on to our next topic. One of the big headlines were across for the NBA, the Bradley Beal trade. Bradley Beal going to the Suns, Chris Paul going to Washington, but we kind of know how that's going to work. They're going to probably buy out his contract and they're going to probably let him go. So I can pretty much see that happening. So James, I'll start out with you on this. How big of a deal is this for the Suns?
It's big because they're going for it again, and they're going for it with someone who's younger. They're trading, Paul who's 38, Bill who's 29, but there's more money involved in the next couple of years. Just think about this. They have 4 players who will make the max, right? Mm-hmm. Coming up. So you have DeAndre Ayton, KD, Booker, and now Bill. If this trade goes through, it's not official yet. There's a lot of parameters. What's bad about it, I guess, if you're Washington, is this is just a salary dump, honestly. You're getting Landry Shamet back, one other player that really doesn't matter, 2 second-round picks, and that's really it. So it's almost like, okay, remember the Angels trade with Iglesias going to Atlanta this last season? This is how this feels like.
Yeah.
Where you're just getting rid of money. You're not getting much back that's going to help you in the future, and even now. So for the Suns, they're going for it, and you just knew that was going to be the case. But the thing is, okay, you have all those 4 max players. Now, it's like the big 3 with LeBron, right, in Miami, where you have to field a team of veterans and young guys and rookies that you could sign back that you had, or those guys have to play on a minimum salary contract. So they have to go bargain hunting for point guards. I know they have Cameron Payne, so they'll bring him back. But other point guards, you have to get a big man that wants to show some effort, unlike DeAndre Ayton, who you're paying a lot. Remember, we saw him in the playoffs against Denver, not trying at all.
Yeah.
I mean, he's had a feud with the former head coach, Monte Williams, since 21 when they drafted him in the finals. Or, when they benched him in the finals. So there's friction there ever since then. They need to find a way to get rid of DeAndre Ayton and find a sucker that will take DeAndre Ayton and his contract, but I don't think it's going to get out there. They're gonna have that
The Pistons would do it.
I hope, please. I hope not. So anyway, the Suns are going for it again, and they'll probably fail knowing that this is Kevin Durant's, fourth time with a big three team. And it's probably going to fail again. I'll be honest with you.
Okay, so you feel like it's a fail, but do you feel like that once this trade is final and everything, that technically the Suns would still win this trade?
Yeah, because Washington didn't get much back from it. And when you think about it, Porzingis will be gone in a trade. Kyle Kuzma's not coming back. They traded Hachimura to the Lakers. And then Bradley Beal is gone. So they're basically putting G League team out there in Washington.
Yeah, it's the rebuilding. So maybe my Pistons won't be the worst team now. All right. So
And then I just read that yes, it's on the move too.
What, Chris?
Porzingis is going to be on the move too.
Yeah, well, so that was supposed to be today. That came across as a 3-team trade, but it fell through.
It's finalizing right now.
Different one now.
Oh, it's a different one now.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's a different one. That's what I was looking for, and I couldn't find the details
So-
on it.
Porzingis is going to Boston. Marcus Smart is going to the Grizzlies. And then Mike Muscala and Danilo Gallinari will also go to Washington. Both are just bad players. So this is awful for the Wizards. They continue to be awful. Tyus Jones, who came off the bench for Memphis, will also go to Washington. So the Wizards I guess they got what they wanted for salary dumps. The Wizards will receive the 35th overall pick from Boston for tomorrow's draft. Memphis will give Boston the 25th overall pick. And then Golden State will Golden State will receive the next year's first-round pick via Memphis for Marcus Smart.
Crazy.
And that just happened. Well, that happened about half an hour ago.
Well, yeah, because I know the first one, the Clippers were a big
I
one
like
that were.
deal. We were going to get Brogdon, but I was worried about his elbow. Remember,
Yeah.
he missed Eastern Conference Finals games because he couldn't shoot. So I think that's why the deal fell through, because I wouldn't want him if he can't shoot.
Makes sense. It makes sense. But all right. So Big B, I'm gonna go back to you on that Bradley Beal trade and how you feel about it with the Suns.
I think part of me was kind of shocked at first when I saw it, and then as people were talking about it, it kind of makes sense all around. And then of course, now there's talk that Paul's going to get bought out, or they're going to flip him and send him to one of the LA teams that are interested. If they can't pull a trade, then they'll buy him out, and then he'll end up in LA anyways. But Minnesota actually was brought up in that deal to get Paul over here, which I don't think makes sense. They need to do some rebuilding themselves, but we'll see what the trade pans out. And then if this Porzingis trade with the Celtics gets pulled through, I mean, that's another big trade that could come through in the teams. But we'll see how it goes. Beal got what he wanted, I guess.
Well, he wasn't. Washington wasn't doing nothing. I can tell you that. So, all right. So, Crispy, your thoughts on the Bradley Beal trade?
Hopefully it works out. I know tomorrow's the draft, and hopefully they make some good moves, and hopefully this is the one they did.
Yeah, and speaking of NBA here, I don't know if anybody saw that, but Brown from the Nuggets is gonna opt out of his of his option, and he's going to declare for free agency. And that actually surprised me, because I was like, well, dude, you just want a ring, bro. You don't want to go back to Denver? Like, I guess that's what kind of surprised me about it. I figured he wouldn't want to opt out. I figured he'd want to stay right there so Brown can go try and win another ring.
Yeah, but maybe he's like, I did it with this team. Let's see if I can do it with somebody else.
Yeah, that's what it's going to be. And now he can put the ring behind it. Now he can try to get more money than the $6.8 million he was going to get. So, I mean, to me, I would want to run it back for at least 1 year to try to get 2 in a row. I mean, not many teams can do that. So, I don't know why players want to opt out after winning one, but
well,
I
think what it is too is like, and maybe Chris kind of hit it a little bit when he was saying that about how players win it on one team, but they can hear, oh, you won it because of Jokic, you won it because of Murray, and if you didn't have Jokic and Murray, you couldn't win a ring, and so he kind of gets overshadowed. So maybe he's feeling,
right.
Yeah.
He wants to prove that he could do it. I mean, he only averaged 12 points in the playoffs or something like that.
Yeah, it wasn't a lot.
Yeah, so I don't know. I think if I'm him, I stick with the Nuggets.
Again, speaking of the NBA Finals, I feel like Denver is another one of those teams that, to me, agree or disagree with me on this, but I feel like the Nuggets kind of did it the right way. And what I mean by that is the Nuggets didn't go out and try and get any like big time names, and be like, oh, we're going out to get these superstars. No, they had Jokic and they had Murray. Yeah, I know they went out and got and picked up some players like Caldwell Pope and drafted Brown and all them, but they didn't want to build a super team. And so that's why I'm saying I feel like Denver did it right. But again, we see a lot of these teams try and build the super teams, and a lot of times it just doesn't pan out. It really doesn't. And it's kind of funny.
As the series went on, though, I think Miami showed that if Jokic ain't scoring and can't dish the ball, I mean, nobody else can help him. So I think Denver does need to go find a Batman to the Joker there, or a Robin to the Joker, I guess.
Well, I think it's Murray, though. Murray is that guy.
Yeah.
But maybe they do need to go out and get one more. But at least I was happy for Denver. They made it to the finals, they won it, and they clearly overmatched Miami. Clearly. Do I feel like it would have been a better finals if Boston would have been there? Yeah, I do. I do feel like it might have gone at least maybe 5-6 at least. I don't think it would have been 4. I think Boston would have at least gotten 2.
Well, I mean, Boston in general, both the hockey and basketball, man, great seasons, and then comes playoff time and they just choke big time.
It was pretty bad.
Yeah.
It was pretty bad. Even though we have seen some really big choke jobs in the past, but I'll tell you, Boston, the Bruins, is that one team that I look at that and I'm like, if I talk about one of the biggest choke jobs in sports history, like that's got to be one of them, because that Boston team was ridiculously good.
Yeah.
And they flat out choked in the playoffs. All right, it looks like James is focusing on something.
No, I read something about Brown where the Nuggets could offer him $7.8 million for next season or more. They have the first rights at him for that, and then he can opt into that deal and then opt out again and then go in the free agency market. So he was telling reporters money isn't everything, and the head coach Malone at the parade whether drunk or not, probably drunk. Everyone was probably. He mentioned that, hey, he's not going anywhere. We're going to re-sign him. And Bruce Brown, with that quote, say money isn't everything. Okay, that might be true right now, considering they just won a championship. But maybe in a couple of years, he might go into test free agency. A postseason like his, where he shot over 50% from the field, 12 points average, I think that's going to open up some eyes for other teams' benches. But then you would have to offer him more than $8 million and then a multi-year deal. And maybe teams won't do that right away. So we'll see how that goes after July 1st.
Wow, that would be something, though. Imagine to get that contract and then you're able to opt out again and then go out for more money. So maybe if I'm Brown, I do that. Maybe I elect to do that. That might be the way to go. Take that $7 million and then play and then opt out again. So, all right. So speaking of contracts, this is something that I saw the other day, and I meant to kind of put this in the chat, but I spaced it. So they were talking about how Steven Strasburg may never pitch again in Major League Baseball. You want to talk about probably one of the worst contracts in baseball history, to where they signed him to this massive contract, and then the dude only pitches like another maybe 6-7 games after that. It wasn't much at all. It was not much. And so, do you feel like if Steven Strasburg would have been able to stay healthy, he could have potentially been a future Hall of Famer? And is this one of the worst contracts to happen in baseball? Big B, what do you feel about that?
Well, I mean, yeah, if he would have stayed healthy, I mean, he had a tremendous start to his career. Unhittable, I believe, for most of it. And then the injuries, just kind of hit him. Worst contract? Yeah, possibly. He needs to get with Bobby Bonilla's agent and try to get the Bobby Bonilla deal worked out. Most likely it'll happen, but yeah, it was definitely bad because he's only pitched since 2019 8 games, and he's a 1-5 and 1-4 in those record in those games. So yeah, not a good contract to sign, and that's one thing about these big contracts. These players somehow come up with the injury, so never pans out for the team or the player. Well, pans out for the player if they get paid, but it doesn't pan out for the team.
Right. James, what do you feel?
Yeah, I feel like it's one of the unfortunate contracts that are bad, but it's one of those precautionary things you do when you draft a player so high like they did in 2009 with Strasburg. They brought him up, in 2010, I want to say. He only went about 3 or 4 months before he needed the injuries, or before he needed the Tommy John surgeries. And then he came back. It felt like 2012 through 2014, he was doing well. And then injuries limited him again and limited innings again. After, 2015, 2016, he got big contract extension, and it felt like he was on his way. And he even won the World Series MVP in 2019. I think a lot of people forget that. He's a world champion despite his setbacks. The unfortunate thing, though, 2020 came and he got hurt again. 21, he got hurt again. 22. And now 23, it's almost like, hey, don't even try it. It's almost going to be like a DeGrom situation where, okay, he's out there for spring training. He's going to try his darndest to stay healthy this year. And everybody's going to tell you that, hey, he's going to be ready. He's going to pitch a lot of innings this year. He's back. and then he's going to have another setback, and then 2 more, and then he'll finally, retire. So it's really unfortunate. And yeah, it's up there just because of the money, just because of the Nationals having a hard time to sell the team right now with the owner dying a couple of years ago, or last year he died. This team really isn't for sale where it wants to be, and part of that is the Strasburg contract. They've moved a lot of players out from their World Series team. A lot of them have left, so Strasburg and the Nationals are really hurting right now.
Well, yeah, when you think about it, they had like Trey Turner and
Rendon.
Rendon and Bryce Harper, Steven Strasburg. I mean, they
Scherzer.
had and Soto. I mean, they had a lot of good players that they just over the time just like, yep, we're gonna up and trade them. So and Tim, it's really hard to know if it's the arm angle that really did that, because there are sidearm pitchers out there, and I know he's not really sidearmer, but he has some weird angle to it. So it's really hard to know if that's what the problem was. It's just it was unfortunate for him that injuries just plagued him his whole career.
And now he has severe nerve damage. That contract I didn't realize was $245 million in 2019.
Yeah, it was
wild.
huge.
Ooh.
Yikes.
And so that's why I was saying, people can mention about the Bobby Bonilla deal and talk about how that was a bad contract. He gets paid $1 million a year. I get it, but Strasburg got paid $245 million in 2019 and has only pitched in 8 games since. So that's why I'm saying like that is a horrible contract, and that's just kind of bad luck on Washington's part. But I'll tell you, even if Strasburg was healthy, I don't think he'd be a National at the moment. I think he would have been traded. I think he would have been traded along with everybody else. Crispy, what's your thoughts?
I don't know if it's about the worst contract in baseball, but it probably sounds like the worst contract in sports. I can't think of any others at the moment, but sounds like he's not going to be the same player. Maybe he should just retire. I don't know why he's still on the contract, but
well, you got to think a lot of these guys when they're there, they're going to hold out hope, and I think that's what he's doing is holding out hope and hoping that.
Watching video of his delivery, because I wanted to make sure he comes over the top, so he's not any sidearm or 3/4 arm, so he's over the top. So, it's probably just a fluke injury where you get it once and just can't come back from it. Maybe again, it's just like what I've been saying about DeGrom and Kershaw. Go sit in the bullpen for a year or two and just let your arm work it, every couple of days.
Well, yeah, because they're yes, that contract is guaranteed.
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes to injuries too, when you really think about it, there are those certain injuries out there that really kill a person's career. Mm-hmm. So if you think about like Mike Soroka, the pitcher for Atlanta, that technically this year is the first 2 games he's pitched in like 3 or 4 years, and that was and when he came up, he was such a good pitcher. He was Atlanta's ace. And he was supposed to be the next best pitcher. He pitches, had a great year, came out the next year, tore his Achilles, and they're like, okay, let him heal and bring him back. They brought him back again. In his first game back, he was run off the mound and tore his Achilles again, and then hadn't pitched. And it was like 3 years. Then this year he comes back, and he was starting to get it together in AAA, but then they brought him up to the majors, and he struggled in his first 2 outings. So maybe he just won't be the same pitcher again. So there are some injuries that can kill a pitcher's career.
Yep.
That's true.
And Tim is saying, I would retire then.
Oh,
After the contract is over.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. After the contract, yeah.
Or else you get a Bobby Bonilla restructure of the deal, then you're set. So,
Right. Get that restructure. I like it. All right. So we're almost at that time now to where we can start saying our final thoughts and everything. So Crispy, I'll start with you. What's your final thoughts for the evening?
Yeah, thanks everyone for watching, tuning in. A lot of great shows coming in the network. I think Creeping It Real is tomorrow, and we'll have Four Bros on Friday. So stay tuned to Coast to Coast.
All right, Big B, any final thoughts for you?
yeah, no, great to be back. I know we've all been on a hiatus. I got family things going on, but it's always great to come on, talk sports, read the comments, and get interaction from the viewers. So keep checking us out.
All right, and James, how about you?
Same thing as Big B said. It's good to be back. A lot of news coming up, and we'll see how everything goes. But thank you for having me on.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, thank you everybody for watching. It definitely feels great to be back now. Things are starting to slow down, so we can come back together. We do have some bigger news coming up here too on C2C, so stay tuned for that. And with that, we hope everybody has a fantastic evening, and we'll see y'all soon.